One Zambia, one nation. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the main news. I'm Herbert Mutabi. The sign language interpreter is Chola Kauma. We take a look at the top stories. President Edgar Lungu says his desire to develop all parts of the country being hampered by some opposition members of parliament that choose not to work with his government. India's leading solar-powered water pump manufacturer, Shakti, has been invited to explore investment opportunities in Zambia. Three miners have died at Mopani's Mine shaft in Kitwe, while one is battling for his life in Mozakile Mine Hospital. And the Zambia Kufukan Karate Federation has embarked on talent identification among the youth as one way to popularize the sport. Here now is the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu says his desire to develop all parts of the country is being hampered by some members of parliament that choose not to work with his government for fear of being reprimanded by their political party leadership. Speaking when he paid a Ketesco on Senior Chief Inyamboyeta in Mwandi today, President Lungu said it is government's desire to develop and improve the lives of Zambians across the country. Justin Akakulubelwa reports.
President Edgar Lungu in Mwandi district. And on his way to Mwandi Palace for a Ketesco on Senior Chief Inyamboyeta, the president was mobbed by Mwandi residents. The lucky ones had the rare privilege of shaking the presidential hand and take selfies like this little happy soul. At the palace, President Edgar Lungu was welcomed by Senior Chief Inyamboyeta, who thanked the government for several developmental projects in the chiefdom, which stretches across Sesheke, Mwandi and Mlobezi districts.
As we rejoice the construction of the new hospital at Rutaba, the nursing and midwifery school, the other clinics at Rutaba, Maondo, Imusho. We can see that clinics and hospitals are now evenly distributed throughout the entire district. And I'm very satisfied that our people will have access to health facilities.
And President Lungu has assured the chief that the government is determined to continue developing all parts of the country.
The development you're talking about is one desire we have for the entire country. But in some cases we get challenges, of course, because of lack of cooperation on the part of those charged with the responsibility of canvassing and lobbying for these things. There are colleagues in the opposition who are candid enough, brave enough to come out and say, this is what's happening. But others are so scared of their party policy for not cooperating with the government. Without dragging you into the politics, let me just leave it at that and assure you that you have our highest consideration and respect. And for us in this area, we look to you. So whoever the people give us as a leader in terms of parliamentary representation, we hope you collaborate with your good office and the people, the royal establishment, and indeed carry out the will of the people by cooperating with us so that we do the road, we do the hospitals, we do the schools, we put up the police posts, because that is our reason for being in existence. The rest of the things are neither here nor there. We are essentially one people, one family, Zambian people.
From Mwandi, President Edgar Lungu flew to Mlobezi to open the newly built district hospital and later addressed a rally in Katimamulilo to drum up support for the Patriotic Front candidate Dean Masule for the February 12 Sesheke parliamentary by-election. Justin Akaklubelwa, ZNBC News, Sesheke.
Meanwhile, a swarm of bees has attacked a PF camp gathering in Sesheke and several people have been admitted to hospital. This comes barely a few days after lightning struck a PF camp, killing one person and leaving several with severe burns. And PF campaign manager for the Sesheke parliamentary by-election, Kebi Mbewe, says what is happening in the district should serve as a wake-up call to the church to pray for the country. Mr. Mbewe says that the death of a PF card as a result of lightning is beyond political rivalry. He says it is surprising that another camp for the PF was attacked by bees. Vice President Inonge Wina says President Edgar Lungu's vision of empowering rural communities is aimed at reducing poverty. Mrs. Wina says that the President's vision is to further improve nutritional levels by empowering rural communities. She said this in Mumbai, India, when she held talks with India's leading solar-powered water pump manufacturer, Shakti, which manufactures digitalized water pumps. Here's a report.
Shakti is India's leading solar-powered water pump manufacturer, manufacturing digitalized water pumps that can be controlled on phone from any part of the world. The technology has been put in place in response to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who wants to digitalize all services in the Asian subcontinent. Vice President Inonge Wina, flanked by Zambia's High Commissioner to India, Judith Kapijimpanga, met Shakti Pumps, which has manufacturing plants and demo agricultural fields in the outskirts of Indore, a city in the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh.
Solar is the future, which is free, available in abundance.
Our government is very anxious to ensure that the Zambian communities, the Zambian people are lifted out of poverty. And we have realized that agriculture will be the major mainstay.
Right.
They also do a lot with solar pumps, which would be good for our village women.
Water utilities in Zambia can use the technology to provide solar water pumping solutions in view of the energy deficit that equally affects water supply. Bangwenavile, Mumbai, India.
Labour Minister Joyce says government will not entertain poor conditions of service for workers in various sectors of the economy. Mrs. Simukoko says this is because our workers are key partners in economic development. The minister has since directed Central Province Permanent Secretary Bernard Chomba and Labour Commissioner Lloyd Kazia to immediately start working on modalities of improving conditions of service for workers in some farms in Mukushi farming block. Mrs. Simukoko was speaking when she toured some farms in the Mukushi farming block. Ruben Chomba has more in this report.
It's been a busy week for Labour Minister Joyce Mukoko, who is on a tour of Mukushi district to check on labour local class levels. The minister has started a tour by paying courtesy call on His Royal Highness Chief Chitina of Mukushi district.
Tuletotera chimbi chintu ba minister na permanent secretary ku initiative ya ma clinics hiyo ba president batu kwena twalitotela sana twalikwete challenge ya ma clinics.
Later, the minister toured some farms in Mukushi farm blocks and was not impressed with the condition of service for workers on some farms.
They would rather have money than a human being. So we need to be proactive. Kuno mwamona ama problems wakweta bayengi sana. We need their workers, they're the ones who have made it possible for those things to grow. So we need to treat them with respect.
If you look at the relationship between the owners of the farm and the workers, it's actually disheartening. Starting from the accommodation, the sanitary situation, and even the water that they are drinking.
The minister is set to tour more farms on her tour of duty. Ruben Chomba, ZNBC News, Mukushi Central Province.
Finance Minister Margaret has challenged the National Road Fund Agency, NRFA, to collect a 2 billion kwacha revenue from toll plazas this year. Mrs. Mwanakatwe says that the contributions of the toll fees to the maintenance of roads in the country will be enhanced if NFRA collects more money this year. ZNBC's Hano Kasama reports that Mrs. Mwanakatwe was speaking to journalists in Chivombo district after touring the Katoa Toll Plaza.
On the spot check of one of the road tolling facilities in the country. This is Finance Minister Margaret Mwanakatwe touring Katoa Toll Gate Plaza. During the tour, Ms. Mwanakatwe was impressed with the modern operations of the Katoa Toll Gate Plaza, but issued an ultimatum to the National Road Fund Agency (NFRA) to collect more revenues from toll fees.
They've told me over 1 billion. I've told them 2 billion. So that's what I've given them as a target. So, Chairman, I need 2 billion from you. CEO, I need 2 billion from you. So if we can open up countrywide, we can get 2 billion.
And NFRA Chief Executive Officer Wallace Mumba has assured the nation that there is accountability in the collection of toll fees.
These are funds which, when they are collected from the toll station, within 24 hours, they are deposited.
Meanwhile, NFRA Board Chairperson Christabel Banda said the institution is committed to engaging all stakeholders in the quest to roll out toll gates countrywide.
It's important that everywhere where these tolls are constructed, there is buy-in from all concerned.
The road tolling program was effected by the Tolls Act No. 14 of 2011. The program is part of government's initiative to enhance resources for road maintenance in the country. Hano Kasama, ZNBC News in Katuba.
3 miners have died at Mopani's Mindolo mine shaft in Kitwe, while one is battling for his life in Bozakire Mine Hospital after an accident. The 3 suffocated while working underground after a loader caught fire. Mopani Chief Executive Officer Chris Vermelin identified the deceased as Ray Mungo 32, Bartholomeo Mwamba 30 and Tom Kamanga 27. Mr. Vermelin told ZNBC News that Mopani is working with relevant authorities to investigate the matter. And Mine Workers Union of Zambia MUZ President Joseph Chewe is concerned with the rampant fatal accidents at Mopani in the recent past.
It's not safe, don't do it. That slogan mandates us workers that when we are assigned to tasks that are not safe, we should not do it, so that we don't find ourselves in such environment. For Mopani, this incident has happened. They must continuously focus on the safety of the workers, particularly underground operations, where we seem to be losing workers. It's a very unfortunate incident, very regrettable, and very bad for Mopani and for the country. The place of work must be a safe place where we can go and come back and see the family.
Meanwhile, government has regretted the death of the 3 miners. Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development Permanent Secretary Paul Chanda says an investigation has been launched to ascertain the full cause of the incident and to reinforce measures that will prevent similar occurrences in future. Mr. Chanda has since sent a message of condolences to the bereaved families during this difficult time. This is contained in a statement issued to ZNBC News by Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development Public Relations Officer Lucy Shawa. You're watching ZNBC TV1 main news. We take our first commercial break. We'll be right back with more stories. Stay tuned. We continue with the news. Minister in the Office of the Vice President, Sylvia Charlie Kosa, says that the dry spell which has hit some parts of Western Province will affect food security in the region. Ms. Charlie Kosa has since called for a quick identification of households which have been affected. She was speaking after touring fields whose crops have dried in Kalabo district. Katwishi Walia now reports.
Kalabo district in Western Province has one of the worst and challenging sandy terrains. Minister in the Office of the Vice President, Sylvia Charlie Kosa, has had a challenging experience of this terrain when she visited the district. And when driving gets tough, a walk in the sandy terrain was the next option. The minister, who was accompanied by Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Chandakawe, was in Kalabo district to, among other things, check on the effects of the dry spell that had adversely affected crops.
We need to cater for this area as well. We'll have to look at it, National Coordinator. Let's make sure we get the paperwork and help our people here.
And Mr. Kabwe has called for the promotion of drought-resistant crops in such areas.
Where we are, we don't expect any harvest, meaning people who depend on real food. So in the long term, we are going to invest more money in research so that we are able to inform our communities. If our communities are well informed, meaning they are going to decide what type of crop to grow.
Earlier, Mrs. Chalikosa had visited a site where components of a belly bridge have been lying idle for the last 9 years.
We need to make a move. What is required in Western Province and the rest of the components have to be taken wherever else they are required. So please, can we move?
Katushi Wadia reporting from Kalabo District in Western Province.
Zambia Army Commander Lieutenant General William Sikazwe says he's committed to ensuring the Army continues to play its role in maintaining peace in the country and beyond. He said this in Lusaka today during the farewell parade held in honor of the former Army Commander Lieutenant General Paul Mihova. Tambuyu Katota reports.
He has served in the army for the last 39 years, of which he spent 7 years at the helm of the Zambia Army until his retirement from active service last year. Paul Mihova, now retired Lieutenant General, is the second longest serving army commander. And to honor his contribution to the army, a colorful farewell parade has been hosted where General Mihova officially handed over the instruments of power to the now army commander Lieutenant General William Sikazwe. And Lieutenant General Mihova has thanked late President Michael Sata and President Edgar Lungu for according him an opportunity to serve as Army Commander.
I'm further grateful to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, and the Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, for retaining me as Army Commander.
Army Commander Lieutenant General William Sikazwe said he will ensure the Army continues to play its role to maintain peace in the country and on the African continent.
So as I take over command, my focus will be to ensure enhanced capabilities to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Mother Zambia.
Etambuyu Katota, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
Zambia has signed the host agreement for the Regional Collaborating Center for Southern Africa under the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention Africa CDC. Foreign Affairs Minister Joe Malangi says that the hosting of the AU organ in Zambia is vital as it is a landlocked country whose neighbors have in the past been affected by disease epidemics such as Ebola. He signed the agreement on the sidelines of the 34th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council of the African Union. And African Union Commissioner for Social Affairs, Amira Efodil, commended Zambia for the tremendous efforts in the running of the CDC.
My prayer that we've shown that Zambia, as a host of that center in the region, has been equal to the task. And of course, with this, with the implementation of free movement of persons in the region, I think this program is very vital. For it will be very easy for any neighboring country, any country across the region, to know and scale up how diseases are moving, and it will be very easy for diagnosis in any particular area of the region.
And as you know, this host agreement for establishing the collaborating center, and this center is going to serve the whole SADC region, because we have one center for each region, and all these centers will be coordinating in close synergy with the headquarters here under the supervision of the Director of Africa CDC, Dr. John. And I think this is a very important step forward for us.
Meanwhile, former Anti-Corruption Commission ACC Director Agnes Ngandu has been unanimously elected to sit on the African Union Advisory Body on Corruption. Mrs. Ngandu received 46 votes from the African Union Executive Council out of the 53 member states. The African Union Advisory Body on Corruption promotes and encourages adoption and application of anti-corruption measures on the continent. We take another break. Business News is next. Stay tuned.
Well, thanks for joining us on Business News. To present it, my name is Ellen Hambowa. On the segment this evening, Defense Permanent Secretary Stadi Mwale has commissioned a sales retail outlet for ZAM Capital Industry products. We have details after the break. Business News in detail. Defense Permanent Secretary Stadi Mwale has commissioned a sales retail outlet for ZAM Capital Industry products. ZAM Capital is an engineering company under the Ministry of Defense, and among the products manufactured include agro and kitchenware. Dr. Lungu has details in this report.
This year is going to be a practical year. So the general manager and your team have the honor and privilege to commission our sales outlet.
It is now open to ZAM Capital. A state company has been transformed into an agro-equipment and kitchenware giant. The company is now working at increasing its capacity as it is now self-sustaining. Last year, government injected some capital in the company to resume production. Now, Defense Permanent Secretary Stadi Mwale is happy that the investment has paid off.
I just want to urge you to remain focused on government strategic development plans and ensure you diligently implement them so that as a ministry we attain the much desired government objectives.
And company managing director General Moses Perry says the firm is repositioning itself in business.
That with meticulous planning, augmented by strong government support which we're receiving, the company has a lot of potential. The company envisaged to unveil its 2019-2021 strategic plan when the board approves of it in due course.
ZAM Capital has a lot of potential to contribute positively to the economic growth through exports and employment. Delphista Lungu, TV2 News in Lusaka.
Now, National Development Planning Minister Alexander Chiteme says the Kazungula Bridge will boost government's revenue collections through enhanced trade and tourism. Mr. Chiteme says the $260 million bridge connecting Zambia and Botswana over the Zambezi River will reduce costs for government by doing away with pontoons currently used to link the two countries. He was speaking when he and his Home Affairs counterpart Stephen Kampiongo toured the project. Details in this report.
The $260 million Kazungula Bridge connecting Zambia and Botswana is set to enhance trade by reducing crossing over time for trucks waiting for the pontoon from 48 hours to 2 hours. For Minister of National Development Planning Alexander Chiteme, this infrastructure is key for economic development.
We see this as a tourist attraction, that's economic value. We see this as easing the transportation of goods and services between Botswana and Zambia, also including Zimbabwe, because they're going to be using the same routes. So we see this as enhancing revenue for government.
Immigration and security being a key issue in border crossing. Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampiongo, under whose mandate these two fall this year.
To both sides in terms of security coordination, I'm very happy as Minister of Home Affairs with what has been obtaining.
So far, almost 1,000 Zambians have been engaged in this project, which includes one-stop border facilities on the Zambian and Botswana sides. Joseph Nyirendez, resident engineer, Bridge.
We are about 75% complete. Hopefully, completion is hopefully in the course of the first quarter of next year.
This now becomes a key tourist attraction, as it is said to be the only point in the world where one can see 4 countries from one spot, and these being Zambia, Botswana, Namibia and Zimbabwe. Brian Mwale, ZNBC News, Kazungula.
We end Business News. Thank you so much for watching. Do join us for another bulletin on Wednesday. Thanks for watching.
It's now time for sports. My name is Robert Mwanza. In this segment tonight, FAS announces that Division 1 and 2 will also be segmented into 2 streams. More after this. The Zambia Kufkan Karate Federation says it has embarked on talent identification among the youth as one way to popularize the sport. Federation Chief Instructor Modli Chola says the federation, through its various clubs, is aiming to attract young karateka's this year. Chola says the federation wants both young boys and girls as well as the youth across the country to become proactive in the sport.
So on Saturday, it was all about traditional karate. So looking at the kata and the basics of Kofkai. Then the Sunday, which was open to other associations, looked at competitive karate, that is sports karate, in terms of kata and kumite. So we're saying it's already a good start for us. The next event is supposed to be, I think, on the 9th, because we have 5 league championships in a year. So even this time it's the same thing. Then the 6th one normally is a ceremonial championship.
Football Association of Zambia FAS General Secretary Adrian Kashala has announced that Division 1 and 2 will also be segmented into streams in the transitory period of 2019 football season. Kashala, who is in Wapula Province with Vice President Trix Mwemba, told affiliates that lower league members had complained that they may fail to fulfill their fixtures in the shortest league that ends in June. The FAS General Secretary says the lower leagues will also play in 2 streams like the Super Division. And Mwemba has urged members to follow the Constitution when airing grievances. FAS will hold its AGM on April 13th. According to the new FIFA-aligned constitution, the FAS League will run from August to May. In the interim, FAS Shortened League will run from January to May before adopting the full CAF Direct League calendar in August this year. This is according to a statement released to ZNBC Sports by FAS. Well, that's all we had in the sports segment. Until next time, this has been Robert Mwanza. Is a good evening. And as we end the news, we take a look at the headlines again. President Edgar Lungu says his desire to develop all parts of the country is being hampered by some opposition members of parliament that choose not to work with his government. India's leading solar-powered water pump manufacturer, Shakti, has been invited to explore investment opportunities in Zambia. Three miners have died at Mopani's Mindoro mine shaft in Kitwe, while one is battling for his life in Mozakire Mine Hospital. And the Zambia Kufkan Karate Federation has embarked on talent identification among the youth as one way to popularize the sport. That brings us to the end of the news. On behalf of the entire news production team and our sign language interpreter, Chola Kauma, I'm Hebet Mutavi. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed.